The three most stressful events people typically go through in life are death, divorce, and moving.
People need to understand what stress actually is, and it's your body's response to pressure. And there's no greater pressure than when you're in a real estate transaction, let alone.
And all of a sudden, next Friday is their husband's birthday, and they don't even know what restaurant to go to. As of now, I'm talking to more and more of you about moving to Northern Nevada. I've been answering some very specific questions. We want to discuss with you what may be the most important thing to be prepared for when making that final decision to relocate and move. Buying or selling a home isn't just a transaction, it's one of the most stressful experiences people face today. In the current real estate market, both buyers and sellers are navigating through a maze of financial pressure, emotional roller coasters, and intense competition. Understanding the root cause of stress is crucial and not only affects your personal well-being, but can also determine the success or failure of a real estate transaction. So let's dive into the main reasons why stress levels are off the charts for today's home buyers and sellers. The three most stressful events people typically go through in life are death, divorce, and moving. If you want to know more about living in Northern Nevada and specifically the Reno-Tahoe area, by all means, please like and subscribe to the channel. We're putting out new, really good content every week, and we'd love to hear from you. Real estate is emotional, and like we just mentioned, three of the most stressful things you go through in life are potentially death, divorce, and moving. And those things sometimes happen in multiples in a real estate transaction. So today, we brought on a special guest. She's the buyer's agent of our team. Many of you met her before, Sydney Lessinger, who also happens to be a graduate from the University of Montana and has a degree in psychology. We joke about all the time in real estate that psychology degrees and marriage and counseling degrees would be what you need to get into this business. So first of all, Sid, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
I wanted to bring you on today because as you've been doing this now for almost a year, and you're starting to get to see how people that are typically fully functioning human beings get into a real estate transaction. And I always jokingly say some of them go temporarily crazy and the emotions really take over. So, what can you tell people about this whole kind of phenomenon?
People need to understand what stress actually is, and it's your body's response to pressure. And there's no greater pressure than when you're in a real estate transaction, let alone you could possibly be dealing with death, divorce, and moving all in the same time frame. You have financial pressures. You have all sorts of external factors that are weighing on you throughout this. And a lot of people struggle with that because it's so much happening at one time.
Well, we always say when we talk to our clients, typically, and when you first get in real estate, you don't know this, but when people are moving or buying or selling a house, typically it is like the excitement of a first home. Maybe now they got a family and kids and they're buying a bigger home, or it's someone who wants to downsize, job relocate, divorce. There's so many things, like I said, whether you inherited grandma's house who just passed away and now you and 5 siblings are trying to figure out how to get their home sold. It's just you mix all these factors together, and because some people are always just overly careful about wanting to make sure they're doing the right thing and maybe they're not really happy about having to make some of these decisions. What are you seeing like with your current buyer clients or people that we've been working with recently that how are you trying to help people navigate this really stressful kind of event for people?
Taking a deep breath and slowing down. People want to get into this quickly because they think that their time frame is just magically going to go away. And I'm like, whoa, we have time. Take a second, take a beat. They get too far ahead of themselves. And especially when you start getting really involved and you're in the midst of your transaction, you have your agent, your agent's team, you have your title and escrow. If you have a loan, you have a loan officer. There's a lot of people involved. So when you have so many people needing something from you all the time, it gets really overwhelming quickly. And I try to tell them, slow down, ask us questions. We'll talk you through everything. Don't ever feel like you are being overbearing to your real estate agent. We're here to help you. That's the whole purpose of why you have hired a professional, so that we can hold your hand and help you slow down and say, hey, this is important right at this very moment in time. This can wait till tomorrow.
So we talk about how it's a complex process of going through all of this. And I know, we talk about it on our videos in the middle. You always can go ahead and download below. There's a buyer's guide that kind of walks you through the process. And really it's beneficial if we get to walk them through it. Mm-hmm. But what will you tell somebody, like when we get a person that's been watching the YouTube videos, they may not know a lot about Reno other than watching the videos and they haven't reached out to us yet, and they do. And we get those calls. Mm-hmm. Where are we wanting to start with this process of explaining to them how all of this is going to work? Especially for a lot of people, the only information they know about our area is maybe they've been here once for a vacation,
right?
Or they come once on a visit for a job relocation, or they're just watching our videos. They don't know a lot about the area. How are we starting to walk them through this process?
I think the first thing is kind of figuring out what it is that they're used to and kind of giving them as good of a comparable as we can here to give them a sense of familiarity first before we kind of dive into what else Reno has to offer. Because some people are coming from very, very different places than here, and we have a lot to offer. The main thing is neighborhoods, good areas, clean homes. Just give the best foot forward first before you kind of really get into the nitty-gritty of what people want and are looking for, helping them with their expectations. Here is different than there. Wherever it is that you are coming from, Reno is a completely different ballgame, and just keeping your expectations kind of in a manageable area.
It's great to show them areas and kind of give them a tour of the area, but of course we want to get them with a lender or figure out how much cash they're going to spend so we know what areas may qualify, may not qualify.
Definitely.
Some of the other things when we're walking them through the process is understanding that in some parts of the country you use attorneys, you use lawyers. We are a title and escrow state. And the process of writing an offer, going through the contract, getting from day one when we meet you to the day we get to hand you keys, the process is different. And I know for me, sometimes it's a little frustrating when people say, well, in such and such state, we do it this way. Well, however you do it in other places is great, but that's why we're here to guide you through the process of how we do it here. So how are you explaining that to people?
I think the first thing that I do is I sit down with them and I kind of go through what our buying process looks like, because it is different than in some states, and especially if we're getting out-of-state clients. We don't do it the same as Washington or Oregon or California does it. We have a different process. And I try to sit down with kind of forms that I know that they're going to see and say, these are what our forms look like. Please read through them. I'll go through them with you so that you're already aware of A, the process, and B, what you're signing, what you're looking at, what legalities and regularities do we have that are different than where you're from, so that you are on top of what it is that we're doing.
Well, I think the sooner we can explain that stuff to them, the better, because
Definitely.
If they understand what they can afford, what areas they want to be in, what kind of property they're looking for, and the paperwork they can expect, then I think it's easier for them to focus on, let's just go find the property and let you and I and our team worry about all the legal issues, all the concerns, and making sure that when you move in, everything has been kind of taken care of and handled properly. And so obviously there's time constraints and time commitments. And again, it's a matter of how fast or how slow do we need to do things, and hopefully having them feel they trust us enough to be able to say, you take care of all that and you guys just focus on trying to find a property for yourselves that makes sense for you and your family.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows what it is that you want exactly except for you. And we will absolutely help you through that process and make sure that you are well taken care of. But at the end of the day, it's a team effort.
It definitely is a team effort. And on our team, everybody has kind of their specific roles. And I know for those of you that have got to work with Sydney and met Sydney, yes, she's had a license for almost a year now. She is the youngest member and newest member of our team. You have to remember our assistant, Robin, who's been with me for 22 years, and myself, I've been doing this now 23 or 24, and our team was even in existence for a handful of years before that, is that we've done a couple thousand transactions. So even though Sydney might be out there showing you homes and doing those things, when it is time to write an offer, Robin and I are going to step in, help do some of those negotiations, help some of that process go through there. So I know we've had some questions about that for someone who is relatively new in the business, but if you're thinking about moving to Northern Nevada, please click the link in the description below. It'll get you started on the process of the things you need to know about moving to our area. When you're walking through them, I know we get questions about all kinds of things on the contracts, and what we always want people to know is to reach out for us for everything. So what would you say to that?
We are a good resource for anything. We have a long history here. We have the relationships. We have the teams. We know a lot of good people around that can help answer whatever questions it is that you may be having, whether it's, I need a yard guy, who is a good electrician, just anything that you could possibly think of that we may know the answer to, call.
Well, I even go further with that because, like I said, we lived here for a long time, and if people are watching our videos, we talk about things like food and all kinds of other stuff. And
Absolutely.
It's funny how people move here, and all of a sudden next Friday is their husband's birthday, and they don't even know what restaurant to go to. So even for things like that, house sitters, daycare centers, doctors, dentists, like call us for everything. I think people don't realize how big of a resource we can be. Everyone on our team has lived in Reno for a long time. And if one of us on our team doesn't have the answer, we can just put it out to the office who between us have been here
We
for
will find somebody.
hundreds of years, and we can always find somebody that we're doing all those things for you. So when someone reaches out to the Lessinger team, what would you say they can expect from us?
You can expect that every member of our team will be there for you through the entirety of your process, whether it's you are buying or selling, or you have escrow questions, or whatever it may be. Every one of us plays our role very well. We want to help you do whatever it is that you are dreaming of doing, whether you are coming here and you are super excited, it's the first time you've ever been to Reno and you want to live here and make this your home. We will help you do that. Whatever your end goal is, we are here to make sure that we assist you the best we can to make that happen.
So how, with all that being said, can we try to prepare someone emotionally for this process? Because I know we talk about it all the time, and you get people and they're like big and tough and strong, and I got this and I can do it. And I'm either doing an investment property, which sometimes those become a little even more challenging when you have time constraints on 1031s, or it's someone relocating, or someone maybe just buying their first house. They just don't know how this works. What can we do? Obviously, walking through our buyer presentation and buyer guide to prepare them emotionally. And you're the one with the psychology degree. I just do it off feel because I've been doing this for so long. But
yeah, definitely.
How can they think about this so that they can be prepared to know your brain might go all over the place and this might not be as easy as you thought it might be?
Really taking a deep dive into who you are as a person, because whether you think you're emotional or not, there is going to be something that happens in your real estate transaction that will make you emotional, whether it's happy, sad, angry, whatever it may be. You're going to be emotional throughout the process. Really putting trust in the real estate professional that you hire. And obviously, if you come to Reno, we really, really hope that you work with us. But leaning into the team that you have and just trusting that, hey, we've got your back. It's going to be okay. And as the individual who's on the outside of it is educating yourself. No question's a dumb question. Ask us whatever it is that you might not know of. We're here to help you. We are here to educate you on this. And I think just making sure that you know why you're moving, knowing where your expectations are, keeping yourself in a good mindset of don't raise your expectations too much, because disappointment does happen if you do that.
Well, and I know a lot of times people kick and buck about they don't want to sit down through the buyer presentation process. We've done this before. We know what we're doing. And now, of course, we're going to do some more videos about this in the future about the National Association of Realtors lawsuit and how buyer representation is going to change, how sellers and seller commissions are going to possibly be different. And so we really, as this process goes on, want to be able to sit down and explain to people. We're creating some forms for this as we speak right now. Our company had a big office meeting about this as well. So for those of you, typically most people don't know a ton about this unless they've raised their hand and they're thinking about buying or selling. But it's something that we will definitely be talking about going forward. And for most people, it's not something they need to overly concern themselves with, but I think you're hearing all kinds of crazy stuff on the news. I mean, are you getting a lot of questions about it?
I get a lot of questions about what's going on in the news. People see things in the media, and obviously our industry changes often. It can change daily, weekly, monthly. We are constantly having turnover of new things coming out and happening. We want to make sure that you are getting the correct information. So I see a lot of people, they talk about the NAR lawsuit or new forms are coming up, but for the most part, it's questions about the area, things that are pretty easily answerable. It's not been too insane yet.
I was going to say, because I think most people don't realize in our area, I always feel like we deal with the widest variety of properties of anywhere that I know, because we deal with downtown high-rise condos, regular condos, more of your traditional tract homes, old homes, oil tanks, wells, septics, horse property. I mean, you name it, we deal with all kinds of stuff. We have all kinds of weird scenarios going on, in the current environment that we're dealing with. And this is just one more thing that's being added on there, too. So for those of you that are thinking about reaching out, having questions, just know we're no pressure sales team. We just want to answer your questions. So the whole point of the YouTube channel is to provide you as much information as we can about Northern Nevada. So what would you say to any of those buyers just to make them comfortable in that position to be able to just reach out to us in general?
Call anytime. We genuinely love answering your questions and helping all of you. No question's a dumb question. And in all honesty, we have great conversations with people all the time. Even if they're 6 months out, a year out, if it's not immediate, we will. Starting the process early is never an issue. It's honestly sometimes even better. We love it. It's what we do for a living. It's our favorite thing to do.
It's just the best way for us to get people prepared in advance to try to pull out as much of that as emotion as possible. I tell people when it happens, because over the years we've had perfectly lovely people scream, yell, cry, happy, you name it, we've seen it. And then sometimes people get embarrassed later because they can't believe they behaved in a certain manner. But again,
we get it.
When things like death, divorce, moving happen, and these are usually big money financial decisions, whether it's trying to figure out what to spend, new jobs. I mean, it's just a lot going on for people. So you can reach out to us. We're happy to help. And we're going to try to pull as much of the stress and emotion out of the process.
Definitely.
Thanks appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
And for those of you that do reach out to us, now you get a better chance to know who Sydney is, again, because most people reach out to me first. But you might talk to her, our team, and eventually if you do want to move here, likely you're going to be getting in the car with Sydney and she's going to show you some homes. So that'll be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Perfect. Now that we've taken the emotion out of the process, check out the video above about the best neighborhoods to live in Northern Nevada.